You are a pilot. Over the Sierra Madre Occidental, 3 a.m. The yoke is trying to tear itself out of your hands as the plane dives. Red lights flash across the instrument panel, screaming warnings that you can no longer process over the violent rhythmic banging that shakes the entire fuselage. The sound comes from the cargo hold, a monstrous heartbeat pulling you out of the sky. Here is how you got here. You are 28. You grew up in a small town in Chihuahua where the dust settles on everything. Your family has a ranch that is more debt than land. Your father has a sickness in his lungs from a lifetime of that same dust, and his medical bills are a mountain you cannot see the top of. You learned to fly in a rusted-out crop duster your uncle left to rot in a field. You rebuilt the engine yourself. You got your commercial license thinking it was a ticket to a different life. It was, just not the one you imagined. The legitimate jobs paid nothing. Flying tourists over canyons, hauling equipment for American mining companies. It was hand-to-mouth, barely enough to cover fuel and your father's oxygen tanks. Then you met Salazar. He found you in a cantina at an airfield that was just a strip of dirt and a windsock. He did not look you in the eye when he spoke. He offered you 10 times the going rate for what he called specialized medical deliveries. No manifests, no flight plans, no questions. The first flight was a month's salary for 6 hours of work. The money appeared in your mother's bank account the next day. She called you, crying, saying it was a miracle. You did not tell her what kind of miracle it was. The routine became simple. A text message with coordinates. You would fly your Cessna Caravan, a plane you bought with Salazar's money, to an unlit strip of road or a dry riverbed. Men in dark trucks would be waiting. They worked fast, loading white coolers into your cargo bay. The coolers were always cold to the touch and heavier than they looked. You were paid in cash, in a thick envelope left on the co-pilot's seat. You flew to a second set of coordinates, usually a private ranch with its own runway. Other men would unload. You never saw their faces clearly. You never saw what was inside the boxes. You told yourself it was just cargo. Your father started a new treatment. Your sister enrolled in university in Monterey. The ranch has a new water pump. You are the pillar holding all of it up, and the foundation is Salazar's cash. You are a good pilot. You justify the work. It is just flying. Tonight's call came late. A pickup south of Durango, a landing in a dry arroyo marked by a single bonfire. The air was cold and thin. The men who loaded the cargo were different. They were younger, nervous. Their hands shook. One of them dropped a cooler. It hit the gravel with a dull plastic crack. The older man with them cursed, a low, sharp sound. They picked it up, checked it quickly in the dark, and shoved it into the plane with the others. They did not seem to care about the damage. They just wanted you gone. You took off into the blackness. The flight plan is a route you know by heart, a dogleg through the mountain passes to stay under the eyes of military radar. You climb to 12,000 feet where the air is smooth and the world below is only a suggestion of shapes. The hum of the Caravan's single turboprop engine is a steady, familiar comfort. You check your instruments. Engine temperature, oil pressure, fuel flow, all green. The autopilot is engaged. You are a bus driver in the sky. You pour stale coffee from a thermos into a plastic cup. Another hour, and you will be on the ground. Another envelope. Another treatment for your father. That is when you hear it. A sound so quiet you think it is the coffee sloshing in your cup. A soft and thumping. You wait. The air is perfectly still. There is no turbulence. Nothing should be shifting. Good time. It comes again. It is from the back. From the cargo hold. A low, muffled, rhythmic noise. Thump, thump, thumpin'. You tell yourself it is a loose strap. A pressure change in one of the coolers. An explanation that fits inside the world you understand. But the rhythm is too perfect. It is steady as a clock. The sound gnaws at you. A pilot does not ignore a strange sound on his aircraft. Not ever. You disengage the autopilot. The controls feel firm in your hands. Everything is normal. But the sound continues. A quiet pulse from behind your seat. You cannot leave it. You level the plane off, check the horizon, and re-engage the autopilot. The disengage alarm beeps twice, then silence. It is a risk, Flying on autopilot this deep in the mountains, but you have to know. You unbuckle your harness. The cockpit is cramped. You squeeze past the empty co-pilot's seat and pull back the curtain that separates you from the cargo bay. The air that hits you is frigid, much colder than the cockpit. It smells of plastic and something else. Something clean and chemical like a hospital. There are 6 white coolers, strapped down tight with yellow nylon webbing. They are identical. Your flashlight beam cuts through the darkness, landing on one after the other. The sound is louder back here. Clearer. Thump, thump, thump. You crouch, moving down the narrow aisle between the coolers and the fuselage wall. You put your ear to the first cooler. Nothing but the engine's vibration. The second the same. Then the third. The one on the bottom of the stack, jammed in the middle. The one they dropped. You press your head against the cold plastic. The thumping is inside. It is not a vibration from the engine. It is a definite, distinct impact against the cooler wall, coming from within. You can feel it against your cheekbone. Your training screams at you. Get back to the cockpit. Fly the plane. Land it. Take the money. Do not open the box. Your father's face flashes in your mind. The look of gratitude in his eyes the last time you saw him. This is for him. But your hand is already on the latches. They are stiff. Your fingers are numb from the cold. You flick open the first latch. Then the second. The sound inside stops. The silence that follows is somehow worse. You lift the lid. The inside is packed with a translucent, slushy ice. It is not water ice. It has a faint blue tint. Preservation gel. In the center of the slush is a clear bio bag, the kind used for sterile transport. And inside the bag, floating in a pale amber fluid, is a human heart. It is pale and still. For a second, you feel a wave of relief. It was just a sound. Your mind playing tricks on you in the thin, high-altitude air. Then, it clenches. A slow, powerful contraction. The muscle tightens, the ventricles squeezing inward. It relaxes. And then it clenches again. It is beating. A slow, determined, impossible rhythm. Thump, thump, thumping. It bumps softly against the plastic wall of the bio bag. This cannot be happening. A heart requires a body. It requires oxygenated blood, a nervous system, the electrical spark of a sinoatrial node. It cannot beat on its own in a bag of cold fluid, 2 miles above the earth. You are not a doctor, but you know this much. This is wrong on a level that has nothing to do with legality. You slam the lid shut, the sound echoing in the small space. You fumble with the latches, your fingers clumsy and useless. You secure them and scramble back toward the cockpit, away from the thing in the box. You fall into your seat, buckle the harness. Your breath is fogging the cold windscreen. You grab the yoke. It feels solid. You look at your instruments. All green. The autopilot is holding course. Everything is normal. But you can still hear it. The sound is no longer muffled. It is a clear, solid beat that seems to come from everywhere at once. Thump, thump, thump. It is the only sound in the universe. The thumping gets louder, stronger. It is not just a sound anymore. It is a vibration. You feel it through the soles of your boots, coming up from the floor plates of the aircraft. The entire plane shudders faintly with each beat. Thump, thump, thump. You stare at the main avionics display. The GPS map begins to flicker. Your digital attitude indicator, your artificial horizon, starts to cant to the left, slowly, even though your wings are perfectly level. A small yellow light on the annunciator panel begins to flash. A generator fault. It flashes in perfect time with the beat. Pumping. Flash. Control. Flash. Another light joins it. Oil pressure. Then another. Hydraulic fluid. Soon a dozen yellow and red lights are blinking on your panel, a silent, screaming chorus, all keeping time with the heart in the box. A loud chime cuts through the air. The autopilot has disengaged. The nose of the plane pitches down. Hard. You are thrown forward against your harness. You grab the yoke with both hands, pulling back with all your strength. It is impossibly heavy, sluggish, like the control cables have been filled with concrete. The altimeter is spinning backward. 11,000 feet. 10,500. 10,000. The mountains are no longer distant shapes. They are jagged black teeth rushing up to meet you. The thumping has become a violent, concussive force. The coolers in the back rattle and slam against their straps. The sound is no longer a beat. It is a physical blow against the fuselage, trying to break the plane apart from the inside. It is the sound of something demanding to be let out. You pull back on the yoke until your shoulders scream and the muscles in your back burn. The plane does not respond. It is not a machine anymore. It is a beast, being dragged to the ground. The red terrain warning light flashes, and a synthesized voice fills the cockpit. Terrain. Terrain. Pull up. You are shouting now, a raw, wordless sound of effort and terror. You look out the windscreen. Your landing lights are on, cutting a swath through the darkness, illuminating the tops of pine trees. They are so close. In that last moment, you understand. The money, your father, the ranch, it was all just a story you told yourself. The truth is in the cargo hold. You were never the pilot. You were the delivery man. And this cargo refuses to arrive. The last thing you see is a single, tall pine tree, its needles perfectly clear in the light. The last thing you hear is one final, deafening beat as the world outside your window becomes nothing but the ground. That's a wrap. The global illicit organ trade is estimated to be a multi-billion-dollar industry, with the World Health Organization reporting that up to 10% of all transplants worldwide may involve trafficked organs. Subscribe for more.